Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jaylee. This is Jaylee's Corner, and this is my review for Being Mary Jane, Season 4, Episode 13. It is currently 1:16 in the morning, which is also my birthday, January 16th. Yay. And yes, I'm tired. I think my eyes look sleepy too, but I'm going to get this review done quick, fast, and in a hurry. First things first, if you have not done so already, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel. It does not cost you anything. I do love new subscribers. Um, it just lets you know when I have a new video on my channel. So when I have a new review up, it just sends you an email or sends you a notification, on your YouTube. So please subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. You can also share my videos. You can also like my videos. There is also a comment section at the bottom. You can scroll down and put comments in if you feel the need to discuss the show or my review. There's only one rule about my comment section. Please be respectful to me and also to the other people who are commenting. Let's be adults, people. So, yeah, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Thank you. Um, Being Mary Jane. I like Being Mary Jane. I do. Reviewing her show, her as if it's one person, reviewing the show, I think I want to do it a little bit differently to not really go over the whatever the story is that they're covering. I don't really feel like that is what I want to cover or discuss unless it's like, major to do with the story itself. Uh, I'll go over it a little bit to where the story that they were covering this week was about an interior designer who was against gay marriage. Basically, because, it's a sin within the Bible. So that was the thing of, okay, we're going to have this interior designer on the show, but, oh, they were supposed to come on, but now they have this whole scandal thing. Should we have them on the show? Um, People need to just, not cherry pick scenes. It is what it is. Uh, which was also Mary Jane Stan's point on it when she interviewed the lady and said, isn't this and this and this a sin too? Some people have to cherry pick sins to condemn one over the other. I'm not even going to go into that because everyone has the right to whatever their opinion is. That's I'm going to kind of work around that. So, anywho, we do see the meat and potatoes of it is, Kara now knows that Mary Jane and Justin are sleeping together. So Kara's pissed off because she's like, you broke up with Lee for that asshole after having a conversation in Mary Jane's office. And Mary Jane is like, we don't want anyone to know. We're basically keeping it a secret, and that's how we want to leave it. And Kara's like, you didn't tell me because you know you're wrong. Basically meaning we were best friends, so even if you were sleeping with him, you would have told me. You only did not tell me because you knew I wouldn't like it because you know you were wrong for fucking that man because he's the man that got me fired. Um, Mary Jane then says, but he's also the man who got you rehired. Justin got you back here, not me. And she's like, well, probably because you told him to. And in hindsight, Mary Jane never told Justin to get Kara her job back. She just said you were wrong for talking at her arbitration against her. He got her job back because I don't know why, but it wasn't because Mary Jane specifically told him to. And so it was that whole dynamic of, Kara just saying she's pissed off. She, of course, blames Justin for her being fired last season. And he did have something to do with it, but at the same time, Kara, you didn't do your job technically. That's why you got fired. So for me, Kara is still a little bit playing the victim and, not moving on from the situation. Whatever. Um, you see that also Niecy is in town. But we know Niecy came in town to see her boo that she met off Tinder. So, she's at the studio to visit Mary Jane. She taking on a snack from the snack table. She put some stuff in her purse. She put some chips in the purse, because she there. She's like, hey, it's free. It's for everybody. I'm going to take some. So, yeah, because Mary Jane is busy, she's like, I'm busy at work, but you can go sightseeing. You can see New York and everything. It's like, okay, Auntie, yeah, I'm gonna go see New York. Niecy ass text Boo that she will see him in 20 minutes. So, yeah. Um, we see Kara pitching the show to replace the whole interior designer debacle. She's pitching, okay, we can interview the new Bond girl. Mary Jane, of course, is trying to get Kara back on her side. She's like, yeah, that'd be a great idea. So they're trying to pitch that idea to their boss, the new girl they hired, who I'm going to always refer to her as the Tommy Lauren type character. You know, a girl who was doing videos online that people felt she was a little bit um, simple minded to racial issues. So I'm going to use the Tommy Lauren character. But, she then says, we're going to, not have, the interior designer on here to talk to about an actress. That's just stupid. And the boss is like, okay, so how are we going to decide this? Hey, Justin, what do you think we should do? And Justin's like, oh shit, because now Justin's in the middle of having to pick between Mary Jane and Kara's idea and the other idea, and basically also choose what's best for the show too. So while he says, the actress who was going to be in this Bond film, has major buzz right now, he also was like, give this other major network is going with the story for our interior designer guest person. And so their boss says, okay, we're going to go with the interior design thing, basically shelving Kara's idea and Mary Jane's backing of Kara. And he then tried to say, well, hey, don't make me the producer. Let's have Kara produce it. Kara produce it because she's a senior producer. He's like, no, I'm going to have her do, and it was something else. So he was trying to get her back into the fold, but their boss wasn't really listening. So it's like, yeah. Back to Niecy and her New York boo. He's cute, He's a cutie. He wasn't a murderer. You know how you might meet somebody online and it's they picture and they ain't really them. They catfishing people and then they might try to either rape you or murder you. He wasn't a raper or a murderer. He was a nice looking gentleman. But anyway, he was taking her throughout New York, just showing her different things, letting her have her first taste of a New York style pizza, which I think was the difference between a New York pizza and a pizza anywhere else. I don't know, I'm from Michigan. Walking through the park, and things like that. And she's like, can we have a seat, because these shoes ain't made for walking. Because, of course, she's from Atlanta. So she's like, is you going to get a car? And he's like, no, not New York. Car is for rich people. Now, because he's from New York, she's from Atlanta. Those are two totally different cities. People know that sometimes if you know anyone in New York, a lot of people from New York don't have cars. They have subways, Ubers, cabs. You walk. You do all this other stuff to get around. You have a car if you're rich and you're ratting around. You're not going to walk around town. So hence this thing, that's for rich people. And then she's like, well, in Atlanta, you can't get nowhere without a car. Because in Atlanta, the freeways, I've heard, everything is so far from each other. So you have to drive places. So they were basically talking about the difference between living in New York and living in Atlanta. So I thought that was funny. He did take her back to his house. Now my thing was you don't know this man. Why is you going back to his house and you don't know this man? But when you meet somebody on a sex dating site, I guess the plan is to go back somewhere to have sex. I wouldn't go state to state to have sex with nobody. But she walked in his house and it did look a little like a dump. It wasn't too fancy. It was stuff everywhere. It looked a little, cramped. But I heard New York apartments are like that. But I mean, he could have at least cleaned up because he was having company. It was like he had stuff everywhere. And like, okay, sit down. I'm going to get us something to drink. And she's texting her friend like, his house, he's cool. His house is kind of a dump though. And then the friend like, but are you gonna fuck him? And she then starts taking pictures of him as he's like taking his jacket off and getting him something to drink. She's like, what you think? And he come back and he got 2 mason jars with some clear liquid. Now my thing was, is you drugging that girl? Because he was watching her drink it as if he was waiting for the date rape drug to kick in. But, next thing we know, him and Niecy, banging balls to the walls in the bed. And I'm like, okay, Niecy, you know this man a day and you fucking him already? But I guess that's what younger people on them Tinder dating apps do. They meet people and they sleep together. Me, on the other hand, I don't want to fuck you if I met you off Tinder because I think you got herpes like Usher. So, I ain't trying to go through all that. But not Niecy. Niecy was getting her back blown out by New York Boo and his dingy ass apartment. Go ahead, Niecy. So we see MJ, Mary Jane and Justin still trying to get this whole show thing going. And the one thing about it was they wanted to get some buzz for the episode for their segment without getting their hands dirty, to get buzz for it. They end up going to someone who says we can, generate some buzz, but how far are you willing to go? And MJ's like, as far as we have to, but I don't know. They agreed to do it, and what ended up happening is they end up having someone print fake news stories that the interior designer lady who does not like lesbians is actually a lesbian herself, or has once been a lesbian, or has once got her vagina ate by a lesbian. Anywhere it goes, Mary Jane, after the fact, felt horrible because real journalists don't do that. Next, we see Kara complaining to her man. What's her man name? I can't ever remember that man's name. I think it's Oscar. No, Orlando. She's complaining to Orlando about her first day back to work. Justin got me fired. MJ isn't loyal. Because Mary Jane is fucking Justin, I lost a story. What kind of friend is she? For me, I feel like Kara is completely playing the victim. Not saying Mary Jane is innocent. Not saying Justin didn't have something to do with Kara getting fired. But at the same time, as an adult woman, you need to let that shit go, mama. You need to let that shit go and get you a goddamn hammer and build a fucking bridge. Step over and get over that shit and be who you gonna be, because constantly complaining about it is you nagging. Oh my God, we know what he did. Okay, but you back at work. And you can't say that you didn't get the story just because Mary Jane is fucking that man, because don't nobody know she fucking that man but you. Okay? And before she was fucking that man, he was getting her different kind of stories. So you can't use that as an excuse. And I feel like Kara at times plays the victim a lot with certain stuff. She does have a right to be mad at her friend for lying to her. I get that. But Mary Jane didn't sleep with Justin to get you fired. She also didn't do it to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? It's like she keep making it about her. She would have got fired whether Mary Jane was fucking Justin or not, because again, you didn't review that damn story. You got fired because you did not do your job as a producer. You didn't get fired because Justin messed up your story, or that Justin, well, they did send put Rhonda up under the bus. But had you done your job, that wouldn't have happened. So she was a casualty. So I get why she's upset. But again, mama, get over that shit. So then she tells her boyfriend, Orlando, hey, I want you to hang out with Garrett, our boss. Get him buttered up so that he can pay more attention to me and less attention to Justin. So, yeah, whatever. We do see Mary Jane interview the lady. It goes well. Fine, whatever. But we do see her talking to the Tommy Lauren type character. Because during the interview, the lady says something as far as, blacks in the different communities also feel like lesbian relationships are against the Bible. And Mary Jane felt like she didn't pull that out her ass. Somebody coached her on how to do the interview. And who was that coached her? The Tommy Lauren type character. So Mary Jane did kind of check her and was like, you have to remember where you work, and you have to remember what side of the fence you fall on. You need to remember which side of the bread your something is buttered. And she said it in a little Texan accent, letting the girl know you treading on thin ice. You either work here for us or you don't. You can't coach the guests to have better interviews to make them look good if we trying to spin it another way. You have to play for one side of the team. And the girl walks away. But it's like, yeah, whatever. Kara does come up to say, good job on the interview. And Mary Jane is like, oh, yeah. And she starts talking to Kara as if they're old friends. And Kara's like, I just said good job. That don't mean that we friends again. Then don't, you can't have it both ways here. You can't want to be nice to her and say good job. And if she replies and it's just being friendly, you then mad because she want to be friendly. I mean, either don't like her and don't deal with her, but you can't keep chastising her simply because she fucked Justin. I mean, that's what Mary Jane does, you know? That's what she does. Yeah, anywho, we do see Garrett is hanging out with Orlando. Garrett ass is drunk. Drunk as a skunk. But what does Garrett see? He see him a old thick melanin popping skin African queen that he want to get with. He like, ooh, I want some of that. You know, hook me up with some of that. He didn't say that, but that's how he was looking at her. So Orlando and his friends introduced Justin to this girl, and he's like, "Oh my God, you know, you're so gorgeous, you're so beautiful," but he's so drunk doing it. Kara then sees like pictures of this being posted online of them at this party, and she panics, and she calls Orlando. She's like, "What's going on?" She's speaking in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know exactly what she was saying. All I know in Spanish is like, "Hola, papi, cómo está?" That's all I know. I don't know much else, you know. And I know like a couple dirty words. I'm not gonna say those. Um, but he's like, "Oh no, it's okay. You know, Garrett's fine. I got this under control." And as he's on the phone talking to Kara, Justin is drunk. He's arguing with some guy. He's taking his shirt off, you know, I guess trying to, you know, assert his dominance. And we see the guy punch him. And then Orlando turns around like, oh shit. Because Garrett is now on the floor knocked out. That part was funny. We also see the next scene is Niecy is still with New York Boo. You know, she's back at his apartment because she's about to leave, so she's spending her last moments, in, you know, with him. And she's in his. It looked like his room is like his house is a studio apartment, and like his mattress is on the floor. Yeah. So Niecy is, you know, talking to Mary Jane like via text, and yeah, I'm gonna come see you before I leave. I'm doing some last minute sightseeing. Yeah, you show is sightseeing, and we see that New York Boo is looking at her, and she's like, "What are you doing?" He like, "I'm paying you." He's actually an artist. So when he told Niecy he was an artist, she figured he was a rapper because we know any artist in Atlanta is a rapper. In New York, if you're an artist, you're really an artist. You can be a painter, a sculptor, you know, different things like that. He's an artist. And he's painting her. And she's like, "No, I look horrible. I'm not dressed. I got sleep in my eye. My hair looking all crazy." And he's like, "Girl, you look beautiful." And she like, "Do I look beautiful? Okay, thank you." And she's like, "I thought you meant you was a rapper." He was like, "No." So we find out that he's actually an artist. He paints. He does apartment work for the building. He gets free rent, and he sells his paintings when he can for $1.15 or whatever not. And she kind of looks through his art, and she sees that he paints a lot of plus size women. Give up for the big girls. You know what I'm saying? We need love too, so don't be acting all stupid. Anywho, but he's like, yes. And she's like, was that why you were, responding to my profile? Was it because I was, a big girl? And he's like, I'm not gonna lie, that was why I initially, liked it. He like, but I followed you on Twitter, and I like, what I'm saying, I got a feel for you, and I liked you. Okay, that's cool. And then, she then said, well, how much do you say your paintings for? He like, well, I don't really. I don't really have the exposure. He then brings up how, you know, well, yeah, I used to stay with my mom till last year because she was in how small the apartment he lived in was, and that's why he does odds and ends to make money. But he happy that he don't have to be out here waiting tables or doing other crazy stuff to pay his bills, and he has time to be an artist basically, and that's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Because my brother's an artist. My brother paints, and it is hard if you have to have a real full-time job to pay your bills, and actually have time for your art. Even me, I work a full-time job, and when I get off work, I don't get home like 8 or 9 o'clock. Well, like 8 o'clock, after 8 o'clock. And I have to, watch the shows and do reviews of them. So sometimes it is hard having to work to make money, but still want to work on your love of something. I love talking. I love doing my reviews. And, for him, he loves painting, so he's happy that he doesn't have to do that. So when he says, well, yeah, I lived with my mom until last year, I'm just happy now to have a spot on my own. And he's like, yeah, yeah. Because we know she stayed with her grandparents and her 3 2 or 3 kids. I can't think how many kids she has. But so as they're talking and whatnot, he then says, yeah. She said, well, my sister stays in New York. She has a little apartment, but she could get a mansion for that amount of money in Atlanta. And he like, oh, yeah. Ain't your sister Mary Jane Paul? Could you have us meet up so I can maybe show somewhere and she can buy it? And I'm like, did you meet her because you knew who her sister was and that's what you wanted, so you slept with her too? But, I mean, he seemed like he liked her, so we don't, who knows what's going to happen with that. So he does show her the painting he made of her, and it was pretty. You know what I'm saying? It was cute. Go ahead, boo. So we then see Niecy going to MJ's office and talking to her, and she's like, yeah, I want to be honest with you. I did meet somebody. And she's like, how the fuck did you've been here for 2 days? You're like, how? And she's like, well, I met him over the internet. He was cool. So she's like, well, did y'all have sex? Was you protected? The main questions that Auntie would ask. And she's like, yeah, we use protection. I'm not stupid. I'm not trying to have no more kids. The sex was good. I ain't talking to none of my aunties about sex. I'm not. Ever. And my nephew can never talk. Well, I don't know. But yeah, I don't talk to my aunties about sex. Cousins, yes. Aunties, no. Plus, all of my aunts are older. Like, no. Can't imagine telling my Aunt Willie, no, Jesus, no. Anywho, but yeah. Or even my uncles, no. But yeah, so she's just saying, yeah, I met a guy, but, I think he ain't nothing because, he just sell his paintings on the stoop. It's whatever. He's a bum, basically. But she then shows Mary Jane the painting that he did of her. And it's beautiful. And she's like, oh my God, Nixie, he has so much talent. While you think he's broke, he has a love for something. He's going after what he loves to do. That's respectable. And it is. Sometimes it's not about getting do with money. Sometimes you want a dude with passion, and he's trying to make something happen for himself. So, that's cool. And she tells Niecy, you need to find what you passionate about. He found what he want to do. You need to find that too. So it was that whole, conversation. Niecy does figure out that Mary Jane slept with Justin, mainly because Justin walks in. Hey, Mary Jane, we gotta talk about this show. And I don't know if it's because Justin also called her. No, Justin FaceTimed Mary Jane, and Niecy saw, like, why your producer FaceTime you at night? Oh, we just talking about a story or whatever. So when Justin walked in, he's a pretty little thing with some pretty eyes. She kind of put 2 and 2 together and was like, okay, I see that. Okay, Auntie. Okay. And she's like, well, don't worry about it. And she's like, what should I tell Grandma? And she's like, don't tell her nothing now. She did let Mary Jane know, Grandma know you cheated on Lee. And she's like, what? How does she know? That's why you're here? She's like, well, yeah. And so Mary Jane said, well, if you don't tell Ma about me and Justin, I won't tell the real reason you came out to New York. Because you had her pay for you to come out here to basically get some dick. And they agreed to keep their mouths shut for the time being. We then see how her producer Garrett wants to talk to her, and we find out that he knows about her and Justin, and he is not too happy about that. Even though Mary Jane brings up how the other anchor, Aaron, has had multiple relationships with staff members there, and it's never been an issue, and Garrett basically says it's a difference between him sleeping with basically underlings. He's sleeping with interns. He's sleeping with people who aren't above him. They're not his boss or his co-worker per se. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Mary Jane is sleeping with her producer, a senior producer. So that is like a conflict of interest. He's like, you guys could, it might be good, going good now, but if something happens, someone could try to sue the other one. And she's like, no, if we go public with our relationship, we can't sue anything because we're a couple. And he kind of wasn't having it. He was like, no, Justin, you're off of her team as a producer. And matter of fact, we're going to have you go to Kansas. Who the fuck sends someone from New York to Kansas? You know what I'm saying? Tano and Dorothy as Kansas? What? Like, okay. And she's like, what? That he's even like, that seems kind of harsh, to one, take me off our service, but also send me away to do a show or to cover something going on in Kansas. And he was like, well, that's what we're doing. So, your flight leaves today. Like, immediately. It was as if he was so pissed. It was weird because it was a thing of it's also why people say you should not date people or mess with people at work, because this kind of thing can happen. But it did seem kind of like out the blue, too angry about it, and for no goddamn on reason. So Mary Jane, when she walks out, she goes to Kara. I need to talk to you in my office. And she tries to confront Kara like, I don't know why you're so pissed about me and Justin, but I can't believe that you would go and tell Garrett about us. And she's like, what are you talking about? I didn't say anything about that. I didn't tell him anything. Just because you're a fucked up friend, or just because you're a shitty friend, doesn't mean that I'm going to be a shitty friend. You are the one that made this bed. You have this tendency to want to fix other people's issues. And then she ran down the line of all the guys that she had dealt with who she should not have dated, but she did anyway, just to fix them. And it was kind of crazy. I'm looking like, damn, that's how, like, me and my best friend, we ain't never argue like that. Like, I don't argue with my friends like that. Like, I'm not going to throw your fuck ups in your face because we mad at each other. Like, if we mad, I might just say, bitch, your hair was ugly one day, but I'm not going to, throw real stuff at you. I don't think real friends should do that. So that kind of threw me for a loop, that she was kind of saying that kind of stuff. When Mary Jane is like, so you didn't tell Garrett? And she's like, that's the problem, Mary Jane. You've made so many enemies, you don't know who said what. Because, Kara knew, her hairdresser knew, Kara told her man. So I thought, well, dang, did her man slip when he was drunk? I mean, did he slip and say they sleeping together? I was wondering where it came from. So as Justin is packing his bag at work to leave, Aaron, who is the male white guy who was Mary Jane's co-host, he walks up to Justin like, yeah, Kansas, huh? And then he's like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know what's going on. And he was like, you should have a better poker face. And Justin's like, what? And he was like, yeah, that time when it was a scene earlier when Mary Jane was like bending over or something. And the guy said, I would love to take a bite out of that peach. And Justin didn't say anything. He looked, but he didn't say anything. So Aaron then said because of that, he figured out they must have been sleeping together. And he was like, I refuse to let y'all get rid of me how y'all did Rhonda. And that's like, you told Garrett? And he was like, yeah, have fun in Kansas. And kind of walked off. I'm like, damn, Aaron. Damn, Daniel. That was crazy. I mean, but, that's how it is, I think, in show business. So, Justin does let Mary Jane know that it was actually Aaron who snitched him out. And as she's saying, I'm going to miss you while you're gone. This is kind of crazy. I hope this doesn't ruin us, blah, 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 blah. And as they're in the office talking, you see the office all gossiping and looking at them too. So you see at that moment the word is spreading. Okay, they messing around. They messing around. And he's like, oh, it seems like the word is out. So he's supposed to go to Kansas for a week or more for this story. And we shall see how the next episode go. So that was this episode of Being Mary Jane. I need Kara to stop playing the victim and stop being mad at Mary Jane for fucking Justin. I want her to get over that. Even if y'all ain't friends, don't keep bringing it up. Just keep pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and be the best producer you can be. I hope Niecy and New York Boo, maybe kind of work out. I'm wondering if they're going to have Niecy some kind of way move to New York and get her life together so that she out of her grandparents' house. I'm wondering if that's going to be maybe a new dynamic within her. But we shall see. But that's my review for Being Mary Jane, episode 13, I think it was. I can't remember because now it's late in the morning. I want to get this video uploaded. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, please subscribe to my channel. This is Jay Lee, Jay Lee's Corner. Peace.